Unfortunately, my husband passed away in a terrible, terrible accident. I was grieving and still in our house that we raised a child in, when all of a sudden, my mother-in-law burst into the front door talking about how I need to get out or pay rent. Well, I didn't know what to do. I've never been through anything like this, and I wasn't even thinking clearly. I just thought that she must own the house or something, and I never knew about it. But reality set in when I started paying rent to live in my house, and get this, I find out shortly after my husband left me the house in the will, and my mother-in-law was just doing this for a show. She said she didn't want to be alone. Well, guys, imagine what her sister says when I tell her everything.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is my first time posting, but I just really need to get this off my chest, and this seems like the best place to do it, because I get to say what I want while also keeping it anonymous. That's the great part. Anyways, I might sound excited and happy right now, but trust me, the story is so much worse than what you think I'm feeling. So basically, this is a story about my mother-in-law being the stubborn, demanding woman that she is, and how she continues to make my life an absolute living hell. Even after my husband has passed away and I've become a single mother. So, I got married to my husband Mark just a couple years back, and I think about 8 years ago. It's going to be 9 this year actually, so you can believe that we know a lot about each other and we cared for and loved each other a lot. We were high school sweethearts, and everyone was always talking about how we would grow up and get married and have this just perfect life, that we were a perfect couple. We were the perfect couple because we had so much love and respect for each other throughout our entire relationship. It was crazy, honestly. Call me self-obsessed or obnoxious, but I think Mark and I had the healthiest relationship out of all of our friends. Even if we fought, we would sort it out by communicating with each other. Sometimes communication doesn't work though, and we knew that, so even if one person needed space, the other would not feel offended. Instead, we always encouraged it because every relationship has limits and boundaries. Anyways, what people did not know or still don't know about this perfect relationship is that even though my husband was perfect, his mother was absolutely not perfect in any way. She was the most stubborn, demanding, and hot-headed woman I've ever met in my entire life. Initially, I thought she was just a very determined woman who wanted things to go her way because, some people are just like that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing to want things to go your way in life if they make you uncomfortable, right? So I let her be, and I thought maybe she could come around to the idea of me being in her son's life, and having to adapt to a few things that are changing. I feel like you should know that when your son decides to date someone or have another woman in his life, you need to be a bit more flexible with how things go, and you just need to let your children live their ducking lives. For some reason that I cannot for the life of me understand, my mother-in-law was not open to the idea of being flexible. She wanted things done her way, and if they weren't, she would throw a giant tantrum. Anyways, the mother-in-law problem did not concern me as much because I just really loved Mark, and I was willing to do everything to be able to spend my life with him. So I ignored all the demands my mother-in-law put on everything, and I continued to live my life the way I wanted to. It was actually very easy, because Mark was a very loving husband, and he was honestly very, very reliable and supportive in everything that I wanted to do. It wasn't like he wanted to tell me what was wrong and just let me proceed with it, but he would be very supportive in a way that he informed me if what I was doing was right or not. And he'd help me through every situation that I could ever need help in. He loved me just as much as I loved him, and that's the one main reason that our relationship worked so well. Later on in our relationship, we were blessed with a daughter. We named her Jules after Mark's grandmother, and Mark was very fond of her because they were very close, and she was someone that my husband always looked up to, whether the times were hard or easy, or just in everyday situations. If Mark had to pick one role model in his life, he would pick his grandmother. Anyways, Jules was a very big blessing in our lives, and that's also how I found out how much of a doting and loving father Mark is. There was no doubt that he loved Jules, and that he would do anything for her, and it was a very cute sight for me to see him just playing around with our children, because it just filled my heart with so much love for both of them. It felt like my heart would explode, honestly. Things went south, though, just a few years ago when Jules turned 5. It was a month after her birthday when I got the news that my precious husband had gotten into a car accident and had unfortunately passed away. That was honestly the most traumatic and stressful day for me because he was the love of my life, and to have somebody that you have relied on and loved and been loved by your entire life just gone in a matter of seconds quickly really just breaks you. It broke me apart, and also the fact that I have to come to terms with the idea of being a single mother, well, that was stressful. I had a job, and usually Mark would just work remotely, so I would not be that stressed about going to work because I knew that there was someone taking care of our little child, and that I could rely on Mark, he was my husband, just to make sure that our child was safe and happy and well taken care of. No, I was not sure what I was going to do because I did not have a nanny and did not have any family that I could leave little Jules with. I live in a typical suburban neighborhood, and I was a 33-year-old who had just become a single mother. Life was starting to really hit me. I had to hire a nanny and do all that stuff, so I could still keep my job and make sure that I could earn money and provide for my kid. It was hard at first, but it got harder when my mother-in-law got involved in the whole situation. That's when you know that crap is about to go down, because every time she got involved in a situation that concerned me, her demands always fed me up a little bit. So, she got involved a couple of weeks after the funeral. I was glad it was after, though, because till the funeral, I was a complete mess. I did not know what to do. I did not know where to go. I didn't know how to proceed with life anymore without my husband by my side. I would constantly be crying, but then I remembered that I have a 5-year-old daughter that I can't appear too weak in front of, because she would constantly be asking me about her dad, where he was, and when he was coming back, and to explain to her that her father would now never be coming home was something that I wish none of the parents out there ever had to experience in this entire life. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. After the funeral was done and dusted and everything was kind of in the process of sorting out, my mother-in-law decided to have the biggest bomb dropped on me ever. She came to my house and, I don't know, like the butt crack of dawn, and demanded that she lives with me now. Because, and I quote, she did not want me to be alone and didn't want to live alone either. I instantly knew that this was some kind of drama that she was pulling. But I could not do anything about it because it was not like I could just tell her not to enter my home and make her go away when she was at my literal doorstep. Anyways, I decided to let her stay with us because, I was thinking that it could not go that bad, and that if she would ever, do something that was problematic, I could just sort it out, communicate with her and tell her what was wrong, just like I did with her son. Turns out I could not do that, and the situation got so bad because just a week into her living with me, she started demanding that I start paying rent because this was not my house and this was her son's house. She had complete right and ownership to demand to rent from whomever she decided to live in this house, now that her son's dead. That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Especially because, he was my husband, and we were living in this house as a family, and she had nowhere to be seen in this entire equation. So for her to come here and demand that I give her money to stay in the house that I've been staying in for over 9 years now made me want to laugh in her face. I don't want to go on into details after details about what happened and how we fought and argued and all of that because it's also kind of embarrassing for me. But you just have to know that I did end up paying rent just to live in my own home. She wanted me to pay rent that included all the bills, that included groceries, and any other luxuries that we would use. It had all been too included in her freaking bills, and she'd make me pay for every single thing that I was doing, like I was staying in a hotel or something, or like she was the landlord and I was just some stranger staying here temporarily or something like that. It was annoying. It's been months now since she's been doing that, and it's been months since I've been paying rent to live in a house, and I'm just so stressed out because I've got to work, and I've got to take care of my child, and I've got to do everything in this household, and she, well, doesn't do anything. What is even more annoying is that sometimes she acts like I'm her daughter-in-law, and sometimes she acts like I'm just a stranger paying rent because, well, half of the time she doesn't want to do anything here to help. She tells me that I am her daughter-in-law, that I should clean the house, I should prepare the dishes and do everything that a good daughter-in-law does, but then why are you asking your daughter-in-law to pay rent to live in the house that she lived in with her husband for 9 years? It does not make sense to me, and it probably does not make sense to any of you as well, but I don't know how to fight, and I don't know what to do about any of this. And as time goes by, her demands for some reason just seem to increase. Honestly, I don't think they could go this far, but I'm just so frustrated because her demands are never ending. She wants me to make her breakfast, and she wants me to do her laundry. She wants me to cook her the dishes that she wants to eat, and she wants me to keep the house tidy. She wants me to get groceries, and she wants me to do every single thing in this house when she's clearly able to do everything herself, and it's not like I'm asking her to do everything. I'm just asking, please, for a little support because, I have a 5-year-old daughter whom I need to take care of as well as a job that I need to maintain, and do all this on top of giving rent and doing all these extra demands from her. Like, who is she? It's getting very, very hard for me, and I'm reaching my limits. I've tried talking to her about it, making her understand that this is not how it should be, and that I cannot handle everything she tells me to do, and that, I'm a single mom. I have to take care of a lot of things, and it's not easy for me to take care of her extra demands on top of all the stuff that I do on a regular basis. She's completely disregarding my concerns, and told me that I'm simply overreacting, and that if I can't afford to pay a single place's rent, then I don't deserve to be called a successful person, or that if I can't afford this place and I can find someplace else that's cheaper, because if I want to live in this house, then I need to pay rent since, it's her son's house, and I don't have the rights to it, and all the same stuff that she's told me when she first barged into the home. Honestly, I've had enough. Enough of her bull crap, and I think it's time for me to take some action, so I think I'm going to go and take some legal action against her or something like that, because there's no way that this is legal, right? Unless my husband left the house in her name, but I'm not so sure about that. I actually don't know anything because I am a bit clueless about this kind of stuff and all the legal situations that are involved in this and everything so far, and I'm gonna go and call my friend because, well, luckily she's a lawyer. But she lives abroad, so I don't even think she can help me. But I think she knows at least some of her friends who live near me, and I'm going to see if I can hire an attorney or someone to help my case because this is just getting to be way too much. I hope it works out well and that there's something that I can do about my mother-in-law because she's starting to get on my dang nerves and I just want her to leave the house ASAP. Maybe if any of you know where I can get out of this situation, then please let me know as well, because I'm just so tired now and I want to give my child the best life possible, and I know that she can feel the tension in the house, especially because I and my mother-in-law have always had this sort of very thick tension in the air when we interact, and obviously I can't hide my daughter from her or from our interaction, so I have to be the go, happy, lucky woman in front of my child. But that's all really exhausting, and I know that Jules can see through it, because she's asked me just a couple times if her grandmother and I are in okay terms, even though she's just 5. And to hear your daughter ask you that, it's just very unsettling. So, I really hope that I can get some legal advice on this and find a way to get out of this mess and sticky situation. But I'll let you know if I do have a solution to it. Update number 1. Okay, I'm back for an update, guys. So remember how last time I told you that I'm sick and tired of my mother-in-law just demanding ridiculous stuff from me and expecting me to give it all, and how I'm looking for a legal means to get her out of my house ASAP? Yeah, well, I found a way. I'm so excited right now because I feel like my life is going to get so much better, now that I can focus on myself and my child and not have to worry about this ridiculous stuff that I have to do for my mother-in-law, even though she's never going to be happy with it. Anyways, moving on from the anger that I'm bursting with whenever I think of my mother-in-law on anything that she did to me, let me tell you all how I managed to get rid of her and have her leave my house. So basically, I contacted my friend and I informed her about the entire situation. I told her what was going on, and you know what's been happening since my husband died and everything, and she managed to send me a reference to an attorney who I could go to for help. He was a very, very nice guy. He managed to help me a lot because I did not even know what to do, and I didn't know that it could be this, well, I'm going to say smooth. But it wasn't exactly smooth. However, it wasn't exactly hard either. Let me tell you why. So with the help of the attorney, I managed to plot my revenge, and I began digging into the legal ownership of the house, and what I found was absolute craziness. But it wasn't exactly shocking because I know how much Mark loved me, and I know how much he supports me. So, should not have been as much of a shock as it had been, but after the last few months, anything that was on my side was coming as a shock to me, honestly. Anyways, enough of the suspense and all that stuff that I have going around here. I found out that Mark left the entire house solely in my name in his will. For some reason, my mother-in-law had it completely and very conveniently, might I add, left out this fact that when she moved in and told me to start paying rent. Moving on, my revenge is very simple, but it was very, very effective. I managed to legally evict my mother-in-law from the house, and I made her realize that it was not her son's house anymore. It was mine, and I could do whatever I wanted with it, and I could make her leave if I wanted to, and I could let her stay if I wanted to. Heck, I could invite anyone over and she would have no say in it, and she would have no demands that I would have to fulfill regarding the house. Do you guys want to know the best part about this entire revenge plan? The news got delivered to her by a court officer. Exactly. It left her in utter disbelief because she could not believe what was happening. And I don't think she considered me smart enough to actually piece things together and hire an attorney and, take her to court and all that. But I did. And when she found out that I had figured out her little game plan, she was very, very shocked. Now that there's no way for her to return to this house, and I had made sure that she knew that she has no place in her granddaughter's life as well, because of the way she treated me, there was no guarantee that she was not going to treat Jules like this either. Update number 2. Okay, so I know I updated recently, but I'm back with another update because things have gone a little bit wild. So, you remember how I told, well, my mother-in-law that she could not enter my house and that she had no place here because this house now legally belongs to me and I can do whatever I please? Yeah, well, she decides to take it really, really hard because she apparently decided to take revenge on me or something like that. So, the first month that I was living alone and without my mother-in-law living with me, it was great. I had complete independence and I could do whatever I wanted. I could eat whatever I want. I could come home whenever I want and I could interact with my child and bring her up in a way that I was comfortable with and not how her grandmother wanted her to be brought up. I was very satisfied and I thought the story was going to end there as, I didn't think there was anything more that she could do, but turns out I was wrong because her stubbornness has a different level than I don't think anybody can reach, honestly. I came home around a month later from all the court drama that happened to find this random guy standing outside my house and claiming that it was his house, and he was trying to enter but couldn't. He also started blaming me for entering the house because he said I was trespassing and that I was entering his house and that it was not my home. Wow, it was very weird, and I'm glad that my friend was babysitting Jules that day because, my friend was visiting for a week and I had some stuff that I needed to get done, so I asked her if she could watch Jules for the entire day so I can get the work done in the house and for my job as well. I started arguing with the guy and telling him, hey, this is my house and that it's literally under my name. So there's no possible way that somebody would sell it to him and that it might be a mistake and he might be at the wrong address. Turns out, my very precious and loving mother-in-law, note the sarcasm, decided that if she could not live in the house, I could not either, and decided to put it up for sale without me knowing anything about it. But she didn't even ask, she didn't even inform, or she did not even let me have a tiny hint that she was going to pull something like this. It was like she was planning a surprise for me or something, but this was a surprise that I absolutely did not appreciate. I had to come home from a very, very long day at work, and to find a random guy on my doorstep insisting that this was his house was just a cherry on top that I needed to explode at her. So, I sent the guy home after showing him legal proof that this was my house. But it was so frustrating and I contacted my attorney again. I told him everything that happened because why was this woman trying to sell a house that she was not the owner of? My attorney told me that we could sue her for fraud and for selling material that she simply did not own. It was honestly a great idea, and even though I was tired of constantly doing all the legal stuff because of her, I was ready to do whatever it takes to get her off my back. So, I decided to file a case against her. I have not heard back from her yet, but I know that she knows about it, that I filed a case, and I know she's going to receive the punishment that she deserves for messing with me and for taking revenge in a way that's honestly so childish and stupid. Update number 3. Okay, so this is yet another update. I'm going to be telling you all of what happened after the entire selling of the house fiasco that my mother-in-law put up. Basically what happened was that she did not tell anyone that she was going to be doing this, and when I asked her if my sister-in-law knows that I have anyone else in the family, my mother-in-law just said that distance answering any of them, and this was her own thing, so she didn't tell anyone. So here's what I think. I think she's trying her best not to tell anyone what she's been doing because she knows that she's wrong and nobody would support her. Because my sister-in-law, she's actually very, very supportive and nice. Like, if she was living with us, anywhere down here, we would be getting along with really well. But she lives in another state, so we don't meet her as often. She does not know exactly what's happening here either, and my sister-in-law, Helen, came here for the funeral, but she left about a day after because she had to get back to her job and her kids had school as well. She's been calling me and keeping in touch, but I've never told any of this because I thought she was aware of others happening, and if she did not choose to speak on it, then I would not speak on it either. But apparently, she doesn't know anything about what's been going on. I decided that she needs to know exactly what's happening, and not just Helen, but the entire family needed to know what Alicia, my mother-in-law, is doing. So, I called Helen and told her everything that her mom was doing. I told her about the rent. I told her about the stupid demands that she would make every day, and I told her about her not letting me bring up my child in the way that I want to do because I'm just basically everything that happened over the past year, including the way she was trying to sell my house, even though I owned it. When Helen heard that, she was absolutely shocked, because she did not think her mother was even capable of something like this. I'm not just telling, but everyone else in the family was really shocked as well, and they completely supported me going against Alicia. Helen called her mom and basically told her that what she was doing is alright, and told her off for doing it, but Alicia got so mad she told me that I was ruining her relationship with her family for something this petty. I don't know how and why she thinks this is something petty, because it's really not. I mean, she was ruining my life through her demands and everything, and for her, it may seem like a very small deal, but for me, as a single mother, it was very hard to deal with everything she was telling me to do. We ended up fighting a lot because she would just not back down and admit that she was wrong in the entire situation. I know her relationship with her family is going to be a little strained now, but I don't really feel bad about it, honestly. I care about giving my child the best life I can give her, and if she was a hindrance in that, I needed her to get out of my way. I'm not sure what's going to happen now, because Helen did tell me that she's going to come out here and help me out a bit, but I don't know if I even need help anymore. Update number 4. Hey guys, my sister-in-law Helen ended up coming back out of town. She said she could not understand why her mother was acting this way because everyone in the family loved me and knew how much I loved Mark as well. So for her mom to act like me and my child were not part of Mark's family was ridiculous. She could counter-argue and say she did not say that, and there were never any words she threw out that mentioned how we weren't part of the family, but it was very obvious to everyone out there. She also did this entire drama scene in front of the family when they all gathered at my house. I invited everyone over to expose her and let the people know that she was actually, different behind closed doors. When I mentioned it to everybody, they obviously started taking my side and telling Alicia how wrong it was for her to do what she did. Of course, she could not handle that, so she started shedding these crocodile tears and explaining how she was just trying to earn money and make a living so that she would not be left stranded on the side of the road with no one by her side. That made people even more angry because they were always there for her, especially Helen, who always tried to give her mother everything she asked for. And it's not like Alicia was broke either. She was retired, but she had a stable income coming in. I mean, as Mark's wife, as your daughter-in-law, why do I need to pay rent to live in the house that Mark owned? And why was it suddenly hers as soon as she moved in, like I had not spent almost a decade living in that house? And if I was her family, like she so very gracefully mentioned to Helen and her family, then the entire situation would not be happening. Absolutely ridiculous, I tell you. Anyways, so most of the issues is done and dusted with. It's just the fact that Alicia still blames me for the entire thing and keeps telling me that I won't be given any family heirlooms or whatever they're called. Like I care, honestly. I did not marry Mark for all these material possessions. I married him because I love him. So Alicia has no right to blackmail me like that. She keeps telling me that she's going to get the house under her name as well, but honestly, I'd like to see her try because I protect what's mine. Especially because this time, I know I've got people behind me and got my back. A very good attorney as well who's ready to put Alicia back in her place for good. So I'm not really worried about her. For now, I'm just going to live my life happily with my daughter. And I'm going to do everything I can to protect her and give her a stable lifestyle, like she deserves. Miles away from her stubborn grandmother.
So, OP's mother-in-law, Alicia, she was absolutely ridiculous, and it's just blowing my mind how at the end of the story, after all the lessons that she learned from OP and whoever else in the family that was telling her what she's doing is wrong, she still had the nerve to say, well, guess what? You're not going to get any heirlooms or nothing. It's not like OP was a gold digger. I mean, she just lost her husband. But there were some comments that are saying, hey, the mother-in-law in this story might not be acting very, well, reasonably because she just lost her son. So yeah, I take that into consideration, but I don't think that excuses her behavior. Let me know your thoughts about this one. Go ahead, drop it right below in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. If you guys want more daily videos, hit that subscribe button. I'm here every single day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind.